Good afternoon. My name is Capra here with today's daily recap and look ahead. So we've got the S&P here in the window for you to see, daily chart on the left, 60-minute chart on the right, and continue to see this grind sideways to slightly higher. Daily chart here putting in a topping tail today, but looking at the 60-minute chart, just continues to grind higher, holding support levels, and that's one of the things you got to pay attention to. Market's been grinding higher, and we'll look at the cues here in a moment, but which have been stronger recently. But that's what you really got to pay attention to, is not so much the daily time frame and how many days is it up, how many days is it down, but really what's that 60-minute trend doing, because that really is what's been guiding the market recently, and also a lot of stocks out there as well, which we'll take a look at a couple. But here's the S&P, and like I said, it's just working its way higher slowly but surely. It's been a little weaker, and in part you could say it's because of the financials, whatever, but that 60-minute trend continues to hold. And here today, while we did pull back throughout the afternoon, we pulled back right into support. So we'll have to see what happens tomorrow, but this is going to be a key level. If we break under today's low and ultimately under this area here around 217 3/4 or so, then that opens the door to a bigger move lower down towards 217 and this unfilled gap that we got from the NFP report on Friday. So those are going to be some key levels to watch. If we don't break down under those support levels, well, then be ready to see this continue to grind higher. Switching on over to the Qs here, you can see again they've been grinding their way higher as well, further away from the 20 MA on the daily chart. But again, take a look at the hourly, and the hourly just continues to work its way higher, grinding up and really holding support levels. Even when you look back here, it did break down under some support. That was the first indication, maybe we are going to get a bigger pullback, but no, it hit support on the daily and turned itself right back around. So it's very important that you watch these levels. And in part, what has also helped the Qs lately has been Apple, right? Apple here on the daily chart got that big gap up and turned itself around after closing red, right? And then even here, a couple days later, you got that big red bar reversal, but it turned itself around and has been working its way higher. And so, you look at this daily chart of Apple, you see this red bar that we got here on August 2nd, and that scared a lot of traders out of a long position, because what did it do the prior day? Well, it broke out. Right? It broke out, and then you get a big red bar. That scares a lot of traders. But look at this 60-minute. Here's the same situation, or the same day, pulling back in. Where did it pull back to? Support. Right? There's your little area of support right around the whole number 104. And so in a sense, that red bar down on the daily chart was nothing more than a 60-minute pullback into the breakout area. So it was a buying opportunity on the 60-minute, which, as you can see, has resulted in some very nice upside follow-through. So don't get scared by a red bar. In fact, you should almost embrace red bars as new opportunity if they're within this context. Right? Not all red bars should necessarily be embraced if you're long, but in this case, it just proved to be another opportunity to maybe add to a position, get into a position, what have you, or just not get shaken out of an already open position. But, in any case, Apple's been moving higher really, really well. And even though it's up multiple days on the daily, again, you got to watch that 60-minute trend, because unless that breaks, we're not pulling back. It's that simple, right? If we get a significant pullback, it's going to be because that 60-minute trend was violated, plain and simple. So watch for that in the days ahead with regard to Apple. Right? We can also take a look at VRX, which actually missed on earnings, but, it's not always about the news, but rather the reaction to the news. So missed on earnings, but they still said that guidance was positive through end of year, and here we have it, gapped up, ran higher. So this one was a big mover here today, closing up about 26%, and it's not always, as I said, about the news, but rather how traders are reacting to it. So really strong move up. This one may move higher tomorrow morning just on a knee-jerk reaction following through, but it's going to need to pull back in first before you get any real follow-through to the upside. So look for this to pull back in tomorrow morning. It might, like I said, need one little extra push higher, suck in some other traders feeling like they missed out on today's move, and then look for it to pull back in on an intraday basis. What else can we look at here? BABA broke out, cleared the 85 level, should continue to move higher. 60-minute really doesn't look that great. I mean, it's just grinding its way higher, but it did clear that level. So we'll see if it can get some follow through. This is a name that has earnings later on this week, August 11th. So definitely keep that in mind. But at this point, chart is indicating that it wants to move higher. So we'll see if it can do that. Another name that actually cleared some resistance is LVS. This actually broke out over these highs. It held 50 for some time, and now, as you can see here, broke out today after yesterday closed strong. So we'll see if we can get some additional follow through here in LVS. And also another sector really to keep an eye on is going to be airlines. You got LUV, which has rallied up into resistance and now looks ready to roll over. It's just going to be a question of, can it break the 60-minute uptrend, right? You got a little minor 60-minute uptrend here, so under that area should open the door to additional selling. You also got names like JetBlue, which are looking weak. So in general, airlines look like they could be in store for some hurt. So keep those on the radar. And then finally, just to talk about oil here, you got USO actually giving a bit of a sell signal on the daily chart as it's rallied up. And interestingly enough, the 60 minutes trying to hold an uptrend. So this is going to be an interesting dynamic. You've got a daily chart which is in a downtrend and giving a sell signal, while the 60 minute is holding support. So don't expect that daily to follow through unless we break under this 60-minute support. And even then, you have these other levels of support that buyers may begin to step up at. So what I'm thinking may happen here is we'll get a breakdown. We'll get a break lower. This will come down towards the 960 area, 950 area, and then it's going to stabilize and turn up. And what that's going to do is create this flag type of formation on the daily chart. So it'll come down, it'll end up making a higher low, put in a higher high as it comes right into this prior breakdown area, and then that has the potential to set up a much bigger move lower, back down to these lows and possibly lower from that point. We'll see. But basically a bear flag type of formation into this prior breakdown area, and then that's where I think the bigger move lower is going to come in. So from an intraday perspective, I think oil is going to drop, in the coming days, but it'll also set up a higher low to then push higher from. All right, so that wraps it up here for today. We'll see where things are at tomorrow. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you follow for future videos as well, produced by myself, Scott Redler, and the rest of the T3 team. So I will see you in future videos. Until then, have a great evening, and talk to you soon.